to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest in Central Europe. I hope everybody has had a great start to their weekend. You're staying healthy and strong. You're being studious, and of course, hopefully some time for family and relaxation. Also, in this class, everyone, we are looking at speaking part 3. This speaking part 3 is continuing with the theme of yesterday's speaking part 2 cue card about making an important choice in life. We talked about that. We'll review it in 2 seconds. Hi Rajveer, hi Khyber, hi Bisser. Nice to see our members in the class. Tanwisi, I'm glad you're excited about the class. Shirojidin, Faramars, Kush. So many beautiful and unique names around the world. I'm always amazed. Nice to see everyone. Welcome. This class is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, check us out there. For general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. On both of these websites, we have lots and lots of help for you. Our academic IELTS website, it's this blue background. You can click on those big red buttons to join the premium package. For the general IELTS, it's a green background. Again, you can click on that big red button to join the premium package there. When you join, you actually can use it for free as well. And when you log into your My Student account, you'll see this page here with computer-based practice exams, full online course, lesson videos, over 100 hours of videos, and you'll also see this student partner speaking that you can try for free. You can click on that, and then you have to accept, of course, the terms that you're going to be good with others, and then you log in, and you'll find some students, like right now, we have Georgie, Harry, Akmal, and Puneet in here, probably chatting with each other. You can do voice, video, or text chat, and you have speaking scripts there as well. So make sure to use this function of our website. It's absolutely free to use. All you need to do to use it for free is click on this green Try Demo button on either website, and then go into your My Student account, click on the Student Partner Speaking. Shaikh says, I just used it now. That's awesome, Shaikh. Fantastic. Okay. All right, Khyber, we'll see you on Wednesday for sure. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll get into our lesson here, students. So I'll brighten up our day. I just wanted to show you that speaking option because it's free. You can find other IELTS students to study with for free on the website and do live chat. Just make sure you don't share personal information and keep it professional, okay? All right, everyone. So, speaking part 3, let's get into it. Before we do, just one more point. My email is adrian@aehelp.com if you have questions, okay? All right, so let's do a little bit of warm-up. So we're going to do speaking part 3 questions today, I promise you. But let's do a little bit of warm-up. Let's speak and repeat, and this will help us with part 3 because part 3 is always a continuation of part 2. So that means that when you finish your 2-minute talk or little speech about the cue card, then the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part 2. I'll take back the card with the questions, the note paper, the pencil, and now we'll continue with part 3. For part 3, I'm going to ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2, okay? So, we did part 2 yesterday, and we're not going to talk about it in detail. We're just going to practice this to warm up. So I want you to not just read, but also speak, okay? If you're in yesterday's class, try to maybe just speak without reading, okay? All right, Here we go. So this was yesterday's part 2. Let's do this together. Warm up our speaking muscles. Talk about an important choice that you had to make in your life. You should say, when you made this choice, what you had to choose between, whether you made a good choice, how you felt when you were making the choice. You will have 1 minute to prepare what you are going to say, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. Okay? Our decision was to talk about studying at home or moving to the US for university, and this was our answer. Okay? So this is our 1.5 to 2 minutes here. So again, just speak and repeat. One of the most important and difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my life was just this past year when I graduated school and I was thinking about studying at my local university or going abroad to MIT. Since I'd been a top student in my school, MIT gave me conditional acceptance into their engineering program. And of course, as one of the top schools in the world, not only would my learning be outstanding, but I could also gain valuable cultural and language experience. On the other hand, I knew that this meant both leaving my family behind and having to pay at least twice as much for school, not to mention living expenses. Locally, I could do a year for about $2,000. At MIT, it would cost me at least $10,000. Nevertheless, thinking about my bright future, I decided to pursue MIT. In order to achieve this goal, I had to search for a homestay family in the US and explain my plans to my parents, siblings, and friends. This was very emotional and challenging for me. And I'm currently in the process of managing all of the requirements to fulfill this choice, such as sitting this IELTS exam right now. And I'm not totally sure yet whether or not I've made the right choice. I'm sure that time will tell. Initially, I felt really nervous and excited to make this decision. Recently, I've been feeling a bit anxious about getting homesick, but I'm sure that this will be the adventure of a lifetime, and I don't regret choosing to study in the US rather than here at home. Okay, and your time is up. Please pass back the card with the questions, the note paper, the pencil, and now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about life-changing situations. What are the most common planned situations when people's lives change drastically? Okay, give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Now, in the official exam, you don't see the question and you will only hear the question once. Okay, so give me a nice full sentence answer, students. Stay focused. Let's see how many of you are on par here. Beck John's ready. Beck John says, well, in my opinion, the most popular events that change people's lives dramatically are getting married and graduating from university, because couples have to live together and experience many challenges along the way, whereas students will end up being in completely different environment and work. Very nice, Beck John. Really nice answer. Okay. Like right now, I'm going abroad to study my master's in engineering, and I'm sure life will be full of surprises. Right, Beck John? Very nice answer. Okay. So, and I like how you gave 2. Okay. Getting married and finishing university, entering the workforce. Samuel Sidhir Vara says the most common would be when we have to accept job offers in places which are far from our local area, since we have to cope with social and cultural adjustments. Like when I moved for my new IT position to downtown Dubai. Right, Samuel? So finish it with a nice example. Very good, Samuel. Tamonish Nandi says, well, in my opinion, when people get married and study abroad, their lives will become very different. Okay. Why, Tamonish? give an explanation, give an example, but you have a good start. Make sure to connect to part 2, students. Okay. Seni Surani says the most common planned situations when people's lives are going to change or when they settle down and study abroad. Very good. Abhishek says, well, there are a couple of common intentional circumstances, such as when people choose a life partner, job, or higher education after high school, or choosing a business partner. Also in part 2, I mentioned one such situation with my decision to study abroad. Very nice, Abhishek. So, well, there are a few intentional circumstances when individuals' lives take a complete turn, such as accepting a job in a different city, choosing a life partner, and as I mentioned just now, studying abroad in a different culture and language. All of these situations require people to adapt to a very different environment than what they've got used to. Okay. All right. So very nice. Nice answer. I'm borrowing from some of your responses as well. Here we go, students. So repeat after me. What are the most common planned situations when people's lives change drastically? Well, there are few intentional circumstances when individuals' lives take a complete turn, such as accepting a job in a different city, choosing a life partner, and as I mentioned just now, studying abroad in a different culture and language. All of these situations require people to adapt to a very different environment than what they've got used to. Okay? That's natural fluency. If it's a bit fast for you, don't worry about it. This video will be up on the channel. You can go back and repeat so you can get that speed. Okay, a little bit of strategy, students. So for part 3, a couple of important points, okay? So let's talk a bit of strategy, and we'll go along here. So number 1, give answers, explanations, and examples to questions. Number 2, make connections to your part 2 response and among your answers. Number 3, use paraphrasing for questions and idiomatic language, not idioms, okay? So not necessarily full idiom sentences, but idiomatic language, okay? Number 4, use a variety of conjunctions. What are the 3 types of conjunctions? Let's say who's paying attention. What are the 3 types of conjunctions that you should make sure to include in the speaking interview? So let's see how many of our regular students are reviewing their notes and paying attention in classes. So what are the 3 types of conjunctions in the English language that you need to study and learn? Rahul Preet says correlative, that's one type, yeah. So we've got 1 so far. Okay, what are the other 2 types? Although it's just a very specific conjunction, Shirojidin. Very good, Nighain. Coordinate is another one. So correlative, coordinate, and What's the third one? The biggest family. Although, however, time, all of those belong to this one. Very good, Turk. Subordinate. So Turk Berry, our member, is saying all three. Turk Berry says subordinate, correlative, and coordinating. Okay? There are a lot of different words within those. Okay? So although, however, on the other hand, in order to, if, when, since, while, they're all different kinds of subordinate conjunctions. Both, and, or, not yet, so, for, they're all your coordinate conjunctions. Not only, but also, neither nor, whether or, both and, those are your correlative conjunctions. You need to use and know these different kinds of conjunctions to have fluent, effective, and clear speech. If you're not familiar with these, research them, study them. You can learn them on the websites. Make sure to know them, okay? So that's a few different strategies just to start us off. So answer, explanation, example to questions, make connections to part 2, paraphrase questions, use some idiomatic language, and use correlative, coordinate, and subordinate conjunctions, okay? That's what you want to do. You want to do that naturally. We have that in here, okay? So we have all of those elements included in this first example. Okay, so one more time, repeat after me. What are the most common planned situations when people's lives change drastically? Well, there are a few intentional circumstances. Paraphrase. When individuals' lives take a complete turn. Subordinate conjunction of condition, such as accepting a job in a different city, choosing a life partner, and, as I mentioned just now, studying abroad. Connection to part 2, in a different culture and language. A complete turn is idiomatic language. All of these situations require people to adapt to a very different environment than what they've got used to. This is your explanation. Answer, example, explanation. It's all in there. That's your band 9. Complex, coherent, accurate, detailed, on topic, showing connection. Okay? So all of those elements. And then comes the follow-up question. Follow-up question. Is this common to all cultures? Can you explain? Okay, so, wow, that's out of the blue. The examiner, they're going off of their paper. So, is this common to all cultures? Can you explain? All right. Bisser says, in my opinion, it's a bit difficult for all people around the world to adapt to new environments and to change their lives. So I would say, yes, it's the same for most cultures, but not everybody does this. Right, Bisser? Not everybody does this. All right, because you're kind of explaining that at the beginning, so careful. All right, Bekjan says, no, I don't think so, because there are some cultures where couples, after being married, live with their parents for their whole life and do not really know what it looks like to live on their own. Interesting, Bekjan. Yeah, I'm sure there are some rare cultures like that. Charlie Sen says, yes, I think so. No matter what culture a person belongs to, people's thinking is often the same. Every year, students from all over the world come and go for study in hopes of a better future and opportunities. Okay, Charlie, good. So, students, there is no right or wrong answer. You just have to give a clear follow-up. And Bekjan said one side, Charlie said the other side, but they're both okay. All right? Tamir Khan says, well, yes, of course, if we talk about such big categories like cultures or nationalities, because there are always lots of people with similar life conditions. On the other hand, I would give a negative answer if I had to talk about each person separately. Each of us has their own beliefs, attitudes, and needs. Thus, there might be differences among people. Okay, Tamir Khan, that's good. You don't have to answer what is not asked, students. So in this case, the question is just regarding these life-changing situations being specific to all cultures, not to all individuals. So Tamir Khan, it's okay to do what you said, but be really careful not to start going into ideas that you're not asked, okay? In this way, the IELTS is not natural. The examiner has lots more questions to ask you, so you don't have to try to direct the conversation. And I'm going to actually give you a tip about that as well, okay? So, unlike a real conversation, okay? And again, students make this false idea that the IELTS is a real conversation. It's not. It's similar, but it's not. So unlike a real conversation, you must not change the direction of the discussion, no matter how tempting it is, okay? What I mean by that is let the examiner direct the topics and the questions, okay? Of course, in a real-life discussion, we might change the direction a little bit, especially if we feel it's necessary, like what Temer Khan's doing, but don't do that, okay? The examiner will interrupt you. So here, yes, I would be bold enough to state that marriage, traveling for work, and school is common to all societies around the globe, as we are becoming a very international community of nations. I know that there are students going to MIT, not only from India, but from 100 other nationalities as well. Okay? So again, making that connection. All right? Again, no right or wrong answer. Stay on the topic. Here we go. So, is this common to all cultures? Can you explain? Okay, explanation's very important here. Notice the expressions. Yes, I would be bold enough to state that marriage, traveling for work, and school is common to all societies around the globe, as we are becoming a very international community of nations. I know that there are students going to MIT, not only from India, but also from 100 other nationalities as well. Okay. There's my correlative conjunction, not only, but also. All right? So let's keep going with these thoughts. Let's go to the next question. What are unplanned circumstances that can suddenly change a person's life? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So what are unplanned circumstances that can suddenly change a person's life? Now, I see that there are lots of answers for the previous. That's great. Keep going, okay? Make sure to say your answers aloud. I'll give more feedback as we go along. I just wanted to really focus on a bit of fluency and strategy at the beginning here as well. But now that many of you are honed in and you're focused, let's keep going, and I'll give you more feedback and look at different students. So what are unplanned circumstances that can suddenly change a person's life? All right, Rangana says unplanned events that have direct impact on people's lives are death of a loved one, facing accidents, running into bankruptcy, or winning a jackpot. Very nice list, Rangana, of ideas. Okay, it's good. I like it. Maybe a bit of explanation, Rangana, but you're definitely on the right track. You're on the right path for a high band score. It'd be definitely a band 8 at least. Rahul Preet says, according to me, unintentional weight gain after a first child can be one. It not only makes women obese, but also paves the path for many cardiovascular diseases, including heart attack and diabetes. Rahul Preet, it's not bad, but you're only stating one. When you have plurals, circumstances, students, make sure to try to give at least 2 or 3 different points, as Rangana very cleverly did, giving us about 4 different points. Okay. So unplanned, G1, that was not unplanned. Rethink your answer. Okay. Nighaim says, well, I think getting pregnant is an unanticipated circumstance that couples may face. It can either be happy or difficult, especially when the couple are not yet financially ready. Okay, Nighaim, not bad. You have one there, and it's maybe planned, maybe unplanned, so I don't think it's the best answer. You want to definitely give 2, okay? And again, you have to explain that it's unplanned here. So accidental pregnancy or unplanned pregnancy. It's a good idea, but give at least 2, okay? Don't get too lost in details before you give at least 2 or 3 different answers. Bisser, our member, says they might be positive or negative. Sadly, sometimes a person we know who dies without any symptoms or from a heart attack, this is unexpected. But on the other hand, someone can become a millionaire from the lottery, which is not at all negative. Okay, Bisser. Yeah, some answers there. You haven't been asked yet about the negative positive. Okay, so don't go into too much detail. Hina says, it can be very different in various times, like the death of a loved one can also change one's life on the spot, which is unplanned. Okay, Hina, keep going. Okay. The birth of a child or pregnancy, careful students, because often that is planned. So you have to make it very clear that if it's unplanned or unplanned pregnancy. Okay. All right. Rahul Preet says, according to me, unintentional weight gain. Oh, yeah, I got that one already. Okay. Samuel said here, Vera says, those would be relating to death of a family member. Losing a close family member would be heartbreaking, and a person could take months to recover from, and a lot of counseling. Yeah. When a person is dealing with the difficulty of losing a loved one, the word that we use is grieving. Grieving. You grieve. Okay, grieving. Repeat after me. Grieving. You grieve for a loved one. Okay. All right. So let's see a couple more. Dicey SPB says, well, I believe that people need to be in a very nice place. Let me just get you back here, Dicey, just a sec. So Dicey says, well, I believe that people need to be in a very nice place at a very nice time, and that moment would change people's lives completely. Like, I never thought that I would apply to MIT. Dicey, it's unclear. Don't get too fancy and too philosophical. Okay, that's another really important tip, especially for those people who have this tendency. Okay, so this was tip 1. Don't direct the conversation. Let the examiner guide the conversation. That's what they're there for. Tip 2, students, is do not get too emotional or philosophical with your answers. Keep in mind that your goal is to get a good band score. Stay neutral expressive, and focused. Okay, that's what you want to do. All right. So sometimes, the questions, they try to pick questions that won't create too much of an emotional charge, that won't get people too philosophical, but that happens, okay? So it can happen that somebody lost a grandparent or somebody close to them a week or two before they sit the IELTS exam, and unfortunately they might get a question like this, and that might make them very emotional, and it's difficult to control our emotions for certain ideas and certain topics. But on the IELTS exam, your goal for the speaking and for the writing students is to get a high band score so that you can continue your next big plans in life, going to another country or studying in school. So don't get too philosophical, don't get too emotional, don't put yourself into a difficult situation, okay? Stay focused, all right? So, what are unplanned circumstances that can suddenly change a person's life? There are several sudden and unexpected events that can quickly alter a person's life, like the death of a loved one, a lottery win, or even an unplanned pregnancy. All of these lead to new thoughts and decisions that require a lot of attention. I was in mourning for about half a year after losing my grandma to a sudden cardiac arrest. Okay, there's another synonym for heart attack for you. A heart attack is also called a cardiac arrest. Okay. All right, so again, including all of those elements that we talked about earlier in the strategies, keep going with me, students. So repeat after me. What are unplanned circumstances that can suddenly change a person's life? There are several sudden and unexpected events that can quickly alter a person's life, like the death of a loved one, a lottery win, or even an unplanned pregnancy. All of this leads to new thoughts and decisions that require a lot of attention. I was in mourning for about half a year after losing my grandma to a sudden cardiac arrest. All right, nice fluency, nice expression. If you didn't catch that, don't worry about it, students. Just mark the time when we're going over these, where this one was at 33 minutes, 30 seconds, and then you can go back later and review, okay? Now, follow-up question. This is typical for part 2, where you have follow-up questions to the questions. And the follow-up here is, are these always positive or negative? Okay, give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Are these always positive or negative? Charlie says, I think it depends on the situation. It can be both positive or negative. Like winning a lottery is a sudden incident, which is positive, whereas becoming victim of online money fraud has negative impacts. Very good, Charlie. Nice. Of course, here the clear answer is both, and you've done an excellent job of explaining that. As long as you say that nice and fluently, Charlie, you'll get a band 9 for that answer, for that specific answer. Okay. All right, Peya Basak says, these can be either negative or positive. which really depends on the events that occurred. As I mentioned earlier, the death of my grandfather affected me negatively, making me depressed and devastated. Very good, Pea. Nice connection. Very nice, Pea. Very good. Pea, you are really improving in your communication from these classes. You're using a nice correlative conjunction, either or, which is great. It's very accurate in this case. And you're paying attention to make connection to the just said sentence about losing grandma, grandpa, sure. Okay, that's really nice, Pea. That's a band 9, all right? Kevin Bowie says, I don't reckon these occurrences are exclusively for better or worse, but they'll often be a combination of both, maybe a little more of the former or latter, depending on each person. As in my case, I have 99 pop-up problems, but winning a scholarship at MIT makes up for all of these. Very nice, Kevin. Nice connection. I love the use of natural language. Reckon is a bit of Southern English for us in the North American continent. So we hear people usually in the Southern U.S. using the word reckon. We recognize it, but don't use it all that often. Just letting you know about that, Kevin. It's good, though. I reckon. Sure. It's kind of like this Western coming from the old Wild West days. I reckon, by the way, students, means I believe or I think. Okay, I reckon it's a positive and a negative. You'll hear that in the South. Omar Ashraf says, some of them are positive and some are negative, like having an accident, a pandemic to a person that could change their life for worse. Maybe a positive like succeeding or having a chance to work. Okay, Omar, I think you have a lot of good ideas there, but I think you have to organize them a little bit better and use a little bit better English to make it clear for your listener, okay? But it's a good start, Omar. It's a good start. Just work on clarity, grammar and clarity. Pachu Yadav says, no, these events are not always positive nor always negative because it depends upon each situation. If a person gets a visa to study abroad at a renowned university, then their lives will change, usually for the better. On the other hand, if that person loses a family member, then it may lead to depression and difficulty. Very good, Pachu. Yeah. So, depending on the situation, such unexpected events can be either positive or negative, as I was devastated after losing my grandma, but later I came to peace with my thoughts and knew that she was looking down at me from a better place. So even with time, what seems like a negative today can change in the future. All right. That's kind of an interesting answer. Again, going back to what I said before, don't get too philosophical. So stop there, okay? Don't get too philosophical. So are these always positive or negative? Depending on the situation, such unexpected events can be either positive or negative, as I was devastated after losing my grandma, but later I came to be at peace with my thoughts and knew that she was looking down at me from a better place. So even with time, what seems like a negative today can change in the future. Okay? All right. That's the correct way. Okay, let's go to the next question. So, what is good advice for people to keep in mind if they feel that their lives have turned for the worse? Give me a nice, a full sentence answer for that one. And I see lots of answers for the previous. That was great. Okay. So give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Okay. What is good advice for people to keep in mind if they feel that their lives have turned for the worse? Okay. Seni Surani says, good advice for facing conditions when people's lives change drastically for the worse is to tell them to stay calm and try to accept the consequences reasonably. Okay, Seni, can you give me an example for that? So it's a good start, it's a good idea, but what do you mean? Okay, that would be my thought as your listener is, okay, what do you mean by that, to stay calm and accept the consequences reasonably? All right. What do you mean by that? All right. Farmaraz says being optimistic and thinking positively is the best advice to give them so that they can change for the better. Can you give me an example of that, Farmaraz? Priyanka Chaudhary says the best advice is to be calm and to learn how to accept the big change and make life less complicated. Why, Priyanka? Why is that good advice, and how can I do that? How can I do that? Okay. Some nice answers by the members as well. I'm purposefully trying to find some different students this time, but keep writing, keep stating. Sagar Khatri says, the fact that people cannot change reality, they should strive to simply forget whatever happened. They should also watch others who have bigger problems as compared to their situation. Very interesting answer, Sagar, and very good. So, perspective and relativity, right? Life is relative, and there are people who suffer from even more challenging situations and are able to manage those, and it's important to look at those examples and to learn from them. Absolutely, like people who have fought and survived cancer, for example. Okay, very nice. So some really nice answers there. Ankit Shira says, we always have to have a positive attitude in our situations. We face problems with confidentiality. We always increase our understanding and improve. Samuel said here, Vera says, well, I would urge that person not to take crucial decisions like selling properties and other belongings in the heat of the moment, staying calm and taking time off to come to peace with their thoughts. Very good, Samuel. So lots of great suggestions from students. Absolutely. Okay. So what is good advice for people to keep in mind if they feel their lives have turned for the worse? I believe that there are a few good suggestions that one can extend to another who is down on their luck. Letting them know that staying calm and making rational decisions are usually the path best taken to navigate troubled waters. Also, keeping in mind that life, I'll get you back on the camera here. I realize that the camera fell asleep, so no worries. Just give me one moment. Camera's saying, hey, enough about these difficult situations. Let's get on to some happier topics. Probably get there in a moment here too, students. Meanwhile, just a quick peek at baby picture on my desktop. That's a very happy and planned moment in my life, few months after the birth of my daughter, who was very much planned and awaited. All right, so here we go, students, finishing this answer. Also, keeping in mind that life is not about how hard we fall, but about how quickly we get up. Even if I fail this IELTS exam, I will surely learn from it and retake it in a month's time in hopes of better results. There we go. That's a positive one for us to note. Here we go, students. So repeat after me. All right, lots of idioms and expressions here, students, to pay attention to. If something's not clear, let me explain it to you. Just ask me. Here we go. What is good advice for people to keep in mind if they feel that their lives have turned for the worse? I believe that there are a few good suggestions that one can extend to another who is down on their luck. Letting them know that staying calm and making rational decisions are usually the path best taken to navigate troubled waters. Also, keeping in mind that life's not about how hard we fall, but about how quickly we get up. Even if I fail this IELTS exam, I will surely learn from it and retake it in a month's time in hopes of better results. Okay, so again, good use of idiomatic language, several suggestions in there. And then comes the next question. Can you elaborate and give details? Okay, I thought I just did. But hey, what happens if I'm giving explanations, giving details, and the examiner says, can you elaborate and give details? What do? Do you repeat yourself? Do you tell the examiner, I just gave you a lot of answers. What do you want? What else do you want me to do? No, neither of those. What you want to do is give more explanations and more examples, okay? So, Bisser says, yes, when I was forced by a doctor to stop training for tennis because of asthma problems, I was very sad. But then I started to go to the gym and met new people there, and now I'm happy. Very nice, Bisser. Great. So, Bisser, you went right into a personal example. That's fantastic. When the examiner says, can you elaborate and give details, that would be exactly what you want to do, especially after this kind of an answer. Okay? All right. Charlie Sen says, certainly, like I said, currently we are going through some economic crisis situations due to lockdowns. Many people are losing their jobs, but this situation gradually over time will become better, and there are already economic relief packages being offered. Very good, Charlie. Couple of corrections at the end, but overall, it's a nice alternate example and some details. Very nice. Alex Joseph says, as the saying goes, don't give promises when you're happy and don't take decisions while you're sad. Difficult roads always lead to beautiful destinations, so people have to be patient. Okay, so you're expanding a little bit. You're giving some more ideas, Alex, and that works. Okay. M. Verma Coding says, we always feel that this is a big trouble in our lives, but after a moment and consistency to tackle it, it becomes acceptable, and we realize that life is a series of challenges, and that's what makes it beautiful. Absolutely. Okay, so yes, of course. Generally, what I'm saying is that everyone bears their own cross, and life is full of challenges. Staying positive and motivated is the key to dealing with difficult situations and a happy life. This can be seen all around us as many people face the difficulties caused by the COVID crisis and the measures taken by governments. All right, good. Some nice answers, students. Here we go. Repeat after me. Can you elaborate and give details? Yes, of course. Generally, what I'm saying is that everyone bears their own cross, and life is full of challenges. Staying positive and motivated is the key to dealing with difficult situations and leading a happy life. This can be seen all around us as many people face the challenges and difficulties caused by the COVID crisis and the measures taken by governments to cope with this. All right, students, and as long as you're doing a good job, the examiner will keep going because, believe it or not, as long as you're nice and fluent, this will only take about 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes to get to this point. And you might still have some time in your speaking interview, so then the examiner will go on to some more questions like, let's talk about making big decisions. Which steps are important to consider when making big decisions in order to reach the best possible outcomes? How can people remember to take these important steps? What social support is available to make big decisions? Where can people search for these? I'll let you tackle these questions on your own for homework over the next couple days, and I will be back with more live classes for the IELTS exam on Wednesday at this time, and I will put the schedule for next week up on the YouTube channel a little bit later today. There were a lot of fantastic answers in today's class. I gave you lots of tips and strategies. Make sure to follow those, and I included a lot of idiomatic language in today's lesson as well for these topics. You're very welcome, Tomasi, Peya, Omali, you're welcome, Hina, Abhishek, Rajveer, Bisser, Turk. So nice to see many of our members joining in and contributing to the class. Bekjan, have a great rest of your weekend. Everybody stay safe, stay strong. Much love to all of you from Budapest. I'm Adrian. Bye for now.